Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're all well. What's this? Some spam, eh? Alright then, how do you remove the spam from the comments section? Put user on timeout. Now we just block the user. There we go. Alright, okay. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Or should I say, Assalamu alaikum you two. Two people with us today, from what I can see. And salam to everybody watching later on. We have, who knows how to pronounce that? All right, okay. So let's get this started. I've got a lot of verses to cover today, and this will probably be the last one we do on the topic of shirk. Next week, or sorry, in 2 weeks' time, probably get back to just some other stuff. But I thought it was important to go back to sort of basics, to reiterate some of the stuff that I'm sure some already know, but to remind, in the dhikra tanfa'ul mu'minin, reminder benefits the faithful, and also there are some who are just not familiar with these kind of topics. So let me add this. And I don't know if this usually gets in the way, I think. So, well, let's take over it like this. And Assalamu alaikum, Adriana. Good to see you. And Hamid or Hamid, whichever way it's pronounced. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so like I said, got quite a few verses to get through. I'm not sure if I'm going to get through all of them. The principal thing I've put in the beginning, and then I might just continue with some of the other stuff. So, as we know, generally the on Yawm al-Qiyamah, there'll be sort of a division between those who were faithful to Allah, to God, and thus to all of the things which God has commanded to the intellect, to justice, to all of these things, and they were in servitude to God in that way. And there were those who were in servitude in ibadah to Shaytan. So there's this famous verse in Surah Yasin, where it says, "Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam alla ta'budu shaytan." Did I not enjoin you, O children of Adam, so all of humanity, that you do not be in ibadah? Here, of course, it translates as worship. But again, we've mentioned before, the word in Arabic is ibadah, from abd, from slave, from bondage, to be in servitude to somebody. Okay, and la ta'budu shaytan, innahu lakum aduwwun mubin, for indeed he is to you a clear enemy. And instead, what? Wa ni'buduni hadha siratun mustaqim, and that you be in ibadah to me, for that is sirat mustaqim, a straight way. And we pray, in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, guide us to the straight path, because in ibadah to him, it's enjoining towards the straight path, as-sirat al-mustaqim, which is mentioned in other places. Do not kill the soul which God has sanctified, do not despoil the orphans of their wealth, etc. Those important verses in Surah Al-An'am, which we're not going to go through now. But you have this, okay? Now the ibadah to Shaytan is, of course, through the Taghut and his awliya. And we've mentioned Taghut before, what that means, so we've looked at some of the verses of that. And of course, Shaytan and his awliya, his helpers, or his allies. Okay, that's how people in ibadah to Shaytan. Because in reality, the type of what people say worship, very few in humanity actually worship Shaytan in terms of bowing, prostrating, what people typically think of as this kind of veneration. Okay, veneration and adoration. Who does that with Shaitan? Who does that with Satan? Very, very few, almost nobody, right? In comparison to all of humanity. But what we're talking about here is servitude to Shaitan, is servitude to his mission, to what he tries to enjoin upon people. And he does that through his awliya and through the taghut, right? So what he tries to command. And the Quran mentions those things, إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He commands you to evil, ugliness, okay, fahsha, indecency, and then you say about God what you do not know. He incites towards hatred and animosity. So servitude to him is in following and obeying him in these things. Okay, these key things and the things which spring down from that. So for example, we know about khamr and alcohol that through them Shaitan wishes to incite more. And they cause a lot of that. Okay, but let's look at a few verses. Okay, so this is another one which just to highlight that point. You have this verse very soon, right after the verse of La ikraha fi din, there's no compulsion on religion, etc. And that the right way is clear from the wrong way. And that a verse which actually comes after surah, the verse of the throne, ayat al-kursi. But then you have this verse, Allah waliyul ladhina amanu. Okay, Allah is the ally, the wali. And remember, think back again, we're going to be talking about the shayateen and shaitan, his awliya. Okay, but Allah is talking about he's the wali and his awliya. Allah waliyul ladhina amanu. Okay, those who have faith. يخرجهم, he brings them out من الظلمات إلى النور. Okay, so what Allah does is brings people out from darkness into light. Whereas الذين كفروا, their أولياء are الطاغوت. والذين كفروا أولياءهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات. They take them out of light into darkness. Okay, so we're talking even here about two different starting points. Okay, الذين آمنوا could be in ظلمات, they could be in darkness, and God could take, if they have faith in Him, He will bring them out of that darkness and into light, out of the darkness of suspicion, of superstition, of following others, belittling their humanity, into the light. Okay, just as the awliya and the taghut will take you out of the light of reason, the light of justice, the light of anything which you think of as light. Okay, metaphorically or spiritually, the taghut will bring you out of that and put you into darkness. Okay, they will put you into bondage in the darkness where you can't see, and in darkness you can't see. And that's why the Quran talks a lot about those who cannot see, hear, they're deaf, dumb, blind for dhulumat, right? Deaf, dumb, blind in the darkness. Okay, because they've allowed the taghut to take them out of their light, inherent light at least, the light of fitrah, and take them into this the dhulumat. And it says, أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. So let's look at Nuh and his people, because Nuh is one of the few examples where idols are actually mentioned. So much of the Quran talks about the prophets speaking to their people. You have no ilah, you have no God, no deity, no one you're supposed to be in adoration of, veneration of, except Allah. ما لكم من إله غيره. عبد الله ما لكم من إله غيره. That comes up a lot. Okay, being ibadah to Allah, you have no other ilah but Him, right? And throughout the Quran we hear that, but you never see mention of any idols. In terms of stone, wooden idols, very, very few. Very few. But Nuh is one of the ones where in just one verse you have a bunch of idols mentioned. Okay, you also have, of course, فَرَيْتُمُ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى, Lat and Uzza, they're mentioned in Surah Al-Najm. And then you have Baal mentioned in another ayah in the Quran. And other than that, nothing else apart from what we find here in Surah Nuh. Okay, so here in Surah Nuh, what does Nuh say? Okay, so the reason why I mention this is because, again, the ibadah that the prophets and messengers were being sent and telling people to be in ibadah to God and not in ibadah to the idols and things. The idols in these cases, most of these cases, are the taghut or the awliya of Shaytan or people. Okay, and that's why there are idols there, and they're like and the ibadah and sort of like worship, actual worship to idols, to actual idolatry, that only comes as a result of shirk, as a result of ibadah uh, to the real idols, the real people. Which is why it's, and what's mentioned in the Quran is not the idols. It's always the dialogue between the prophets and the people, okay, and especially the leaders of the people, which is what we're going to see here. So here you have Nuh, right? After this is after quite a few verses where Nuh has been calling to his people in Surah Nuh. It's a short surah, so you can read it. But halfway through, he says, قال نوح ربي إنهم عصوني. Nuh said, "My Lord, indeed they have disobeyed me." Okay, they've disobeyed me, and instead have what? واتبعوا من لم يزده ماله وولده إلا خسارة. And they have followed him, or those whose wealth and children will not increase them or him except in loss. Okay, and they who have conspired an immense conspiracy. Okay, so what is it? It's not. He's not talking about they have disobeyed me and continue to worship the stone and wooden idols. No, they have disobeyed me. Okay, they're not following me, and instead they are following these people. Okay, these people. من لم يزده ماله وولده إلا خسارة. Okay, these are not stone and wooden idols, of course. Those who have wealth and have children, not stone and wooden idols. Yeah, ومكروا مكرا كبارا. Right, and they who have actually done a makr, a conspiracy or a plot. Right, ومكروا مكرا كبارا. And what else? The rest of these verses are continuing describing the people here. Okay, those people. وقالوا, and they said, these people who his people are following, these leaders, these elders, the people who those who people look up to them. And again, we mentioned this last time with regards to the mushrikeen, and why the Quran mentions it's better to marry a faithful abd rather than a mushrik, right? Even if you admire him. You admire him, why? Because of the worldly outward things, right? And again, this is a similar sort of thing. Okay, the people follow those who have wealth and sons and they have power in numbers, right? The outwardly things. People look up to them and worship them, right? Funny thing, when I was looking up an image to use for the thumbnail today, I just put in Google idols because I just wanted an image of some idols, and it all just came up of people, pop idols, and all of these. It just came up people. I couldn't, I had to put in actual, stone wooden Arabian idols before I could get the image that I wanted. But anyway, he says, وَقَالُوا لَا تَذَرُنَّ. And what did they say, these people? لَا تَذَرُنَّ آلِهَتَكُمْ. They said, never leave your gods. Okay, never leave your gods. So this seems to be here. They're talking about the stone and wooden idols, maybe, right? Or it's talking about. Now it's going to elaborate. Okay, but again, it's the people who Nuh's people were in obedience in ibadah to these people who are telling them not to give up the idols. Okay, that's what it says, right, in the beginning. قَالَ نُوحٌ إِنَّهُمْ عَصَوْنِي. Oh my Lord, they have disobeyed me and followed those whose wealth and children increase except in loss, and those who said, لَا تَذَرُنَّ آلِهَتِكُمْ. Do not give up your gods, and do not leave. وَلَا تَذَرُنَّ وَدًّا وَلَا سُوَاعًا وَلَا يَغُوثَ وَلَا يَعُوقَ وَنَصْرًا. Okay, and do not give up these. These, don't give up these. And these, the tradition says that these were idols, right? It says that these were physical stone, wooden idols, but they were actually of statues of people, of some of the great leaders of the past. Some of their maybe they're philosophers, maybe they're leaders in religion, maybe they're scholars, maybe they're these sort of people, right? I mean, you could easily swap these names here with the situation that we have with the Muslims now. You could easily swap them with any of the great people of the past, right? Don't leave Ibn Taymiyyah, don't leave Imam Malik, don't leave Abu Hanifa, don't leave, right? These are the people who saying that, right? لا تذرن آلهتكم ولا تذرن ودا ولا سواعا ولا يغوث ويعوق ونصرا, right? And it's interesting that here wala is used here and here and here and not these, and then and these and the last two, there's no wala in front of them, just وَيَعُوقْ وَلَا يَغُوث وَيَعُوقْ وَنَصْرًا. These all seem to be together. Okay, and again, this tells you something. I think there's a hint in there about these idols, or the people who were originally the idols, right? Um, that maybe these were separate. Like you could say, for example, that these were all one madhab. Okay, that's one madhab. لا تذرون ودا, or the madhab of Su'a. That's another madhab. Or this madhab, which has actually three people representing it. Okay, three different people represented: Yaghuth, wa Ya'uq, wa Nasra. Okay, what I mean. And then it says, وَقَدْ أَضَلُّوا كَثِيرًا, and they have أَضَلُّوا كَثِيرًا, they have led many astray. Who led many astray? It's not the idols. If we assume that these are still the wooden, these were actual inanimate idols, who led the people astray? It's those who said this. وَقَالُوا, those who said that, those who had a lot of wealth and children, and people listened to them. Okay, they are the ones who misled many. وَقَدْ ضَلُّوا كَثِيرًا. And then it says, وَلَا تَزِدِ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا ضَلَالًا, and do not increase the zalimin except in error. Okay, so again, the zalimin here, who are they? They're not these. Okay, they are those who are saying, don't leave these. Okay, hope that's clear and I haven't mumbled my way through that too much. Okay, now we can link this, but the issue is here, focus on this word here. If we go back a couple of words, قال نوح ربي إنهم عصوني. Noah said they have disobeyed me. واتبعوا, and they followed. اتباع. You just hold on to that word. واتبعوا, and they followed. Instead of me, they followed those whom their wealth and children did not increase them except in loss, and who did this and this, and who said this and that. Okay, so now if you go to this verse here, which is in Surah Ibrahim, mentions here, okay, وَبَرَزُوا لِلَّهِ, and they will come out for judgment before Allah. Okay, جميعا. فَقَالَ الضُّعَفَاء لِلَّذِينَ اسْتَكْبَرُوا إِنَّا كُنَّا لَكُمْ تَبَعًا. Okay, the du'afa, the weak ones, will say to those who were arrogant. Okay, those who were arrogant. So who are the arrogant? Why? Because they had wealth and children and etc. Those same people. Okay, إِنَّا كُنَّا لَكُمْ تَبَعًا. So we followed you. We didn't follow Nuh. To put it into that context, we followed you. We didn't follow Nuh. Okay, the du'afa, the weak people, they said we followed you. We were in ibadah to you, and we didn't follow Nuh. إِنَّا كُنَّا لَكُمْ تَبَعًا. Okay, فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُغْنُونَ عَنَّا مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Indeed, we were your followers. So can you avail us anything against the punishment of Allah? Okay, we followed you. You're supposed to. We did what you said. You come on, save us from the punishment of Allah. What will they say? قالوا لو هدانا الله لهديناكم. If God had guided us, we would have guided you. And this again it gives you their mentality. It's not our fault. God didn't guide us. No, God sent you guidance, but you turned away from it and you put yourself forward, and said, people follow us. You put yourself forward as idols next to Allah. You told the people, follow us, don't follow the messengers. Right? قالوا لو هدانا الله لهديناكم. And then they say, سواء علينا أجزعنا أم صبرنا ما لنا من محيص. If Allah had guided us, we would have guided you. It is all the same for us whether we show intolerance or intolerance, as in if we like we're not patient, we don't have patience with it, or we are patient. Okay, there's for us no place of escape. Now look at the next verse. This is the next verse which shows you the presence of Shaytan, right? وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانِ, and Shaytan enters now into this discussion. What does he say? Right? Because then they're arguing together, right? But now Shaytan comes in. وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانِ, he comes in. لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ, when the affair has been settled. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعْدَ الْحَقِّ. Allah had promised you the promise of truth. And I promised you, but I betrayed you. I betrayed you, both my awliya, okay, the leaders, the shuraka, and those who followed them. Okay, وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ. And I had no sultan, and remember that word again, it's going to come up again in another verse. Okay, I had no authority, no sultan over you, except that I invited you. فاستجبتم لي. Okay, and just like he invited them and they responded, his awliya also invited those others, okay, and said, they said, never leave your gods and never leave Waddan. They invited them, okay, and then they followed them as well. It's that chain, okay, that chain of narration, right? Okay, starting with Shaytan to his awliya to those who follow them, okay. Um, where is it? Go back here. إلا أن دعوتم فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم. So do not blame me and blame yourselves. ما أنا بمصرخكم وما أنتم بمصرخي. إني كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل. Truly I have rejected كفرت. Okay, and this again shows you something of the meaning of kufur. Okay, إني كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل. Indeed, I deny your association, your shirk towards me that you did before. إن الظالمين لهم عذاب أليم. Okay, so what was the shirk? Again, the shirk, it goes back to the previous verse here, okay, where the du'afa said, we followed you. Okay, we followed you. We followed you, the الذين استكبروا. Okay, that was part of their shirk in Shaytan by following them. Okay, because he prompts them to follow them, and also the leaders themselves, they have it's part of their shirk of Shaytan, because both these are mushrikeen. Okay, so they each have a certain level of shirk, the followers and the followed. Okay, and as we pointed out right at the beginning, that verse in Surah Yasin, didn't I tell you to be in ibadah to me and not ibadah to Shaitan? Okay, do not be in shirk to Shaitan, be in ibadah to me. Right, and that's the division you can have for all of them. Okay. So here Shaitan is saying, كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل, right? So it comes down to that, right? The followers and the followed, okay? And that's one of the ways to look at Surah Al-Fatiha, المغضوب عليهم والضالين, right? المغضوب عليهم, those upon whom is Allah's anger, okay? Those are idols themselves, the leaders, okay? والضالين, and those who are being led astray, those who are astray. Okay, the mushrikeen and their shuraka, right? The mushrikeen and their idols, right? Ash-shayateen and their awliya, the shayateen of ins and jinn and their allies. Okay, that's another way to look at these. So now we're just going to look at a few of us just to, to go through something of the same sort of point. So here we have a verse which talks about Fir'aun, okay? Fir'aun, who said, ما علمت لكم من إله غيري, right? You have no ilah, I don't know of any ilah for you except me. Okay, and he said, أنا ربكم الأعلى, I am your Lord, the most highest. So what does Allah say? النار يعرضون عليها, about Fir'aun and Ali Fir'aun and the family of Fir'aun. النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا. Okay, the fire, they are exposed to it in the morning and evening. ويوم تقوم الساعة, but it's on the day that the sa'a, that the hour, comes or arises. أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. On that day, okay, it will be said, make the people of Fir'aun enter the severest punishment. Okay, which this again is actually one of the verses used as proof to show that there's no punishment in the grave, or punishment before judgment. Okay, so this the fire being exposed to it, yu'raduna, this ard, it's similar to like what they say, a dream, right? Like they're having dreams of the fire in the morning and evening, but it's only on the day of judgment, when they are judged, will they enter judgment. Anyway, but the point is that once they have entered, what will happen? وَيَتَحَاجُّونَ فِي النَّارِ. Okay, and mention when they will argue within the fire. Who will argue within the fire? Fir'aun and his people, right? Fir'aun and those who followed him, the followed and the followers. Okay, فيقول الضعفاء. Okay, so the weak will say to those who had been arrogant. Again, الضعفاء للذين استكبروا. So again, it's telling you where the real shirk is. Okay, الضعفاء للذين استكبروا إنا كنا لكم تبعا. Again, we were to you followers. Okay, we followed you. Okay, we followed you. فهل أنتم مغنون عنا نصيبا من النار? So will you not, relieve us of a share of the fire? So we followed you. right? We followed. So again, it's this idea of the followed and the followed. That's where the real shirk is. But what will الذين استكبروا say? What will those who are arrogant, like Fir'aun, right? I am your Lord Most High. What will he say? قال الذين استكبروا إنا كل فيها إن الله قد حكم بين العباد. Indeed, we were all in it. Okay, indeed, Allah has judged between the servants. Okay, so those who are being followed here, again, they're not wooden or stone idols. They're people. Okay, they're the people. So here's another verse which shows that very clearly. It says, "Uḥshuru الذين ظلموا," the angels, or God, or it will be said, gather those who committed wrong, الذين ظلموا وأزواجهم, and their kinds. Azwaj sometimes means just kinds or types. Sorry, doesn't have to mean like wives and as some people sometimes put it. وأزواجهم ما كانوا يعبدون, and what they used to worship. Okay. Uḥshuruhum, they will gather them, okay, because they've been resurrected. Now gather them. God is not going to resurrect Hubal or bring together, the idols that the prophet that were destroyed in Mecca once the people had become Muslim and the prophet had all of the idols around Mecca destroyed. Allah's not going to bring them back. He's not going to resurrect them. Okay, these are people. Okay, احشروا الذين ظلموا أزواجهم ما كانوا يعبدون من دون الله, and what they were in ibadah to other than God. من دون الله فاهدوهم إلى صراط الجحيم, and guide them to the way of to hellfire, basically. And now it says وقفوهم, stop them. Okay, before they reach إنهم مسؤولون, now they're going to be questioned. Okay, again, who are going to be questioned? People. It's not inanimate objects. Okay, so those who are being worshipped, with those who are being worshipped or in servitude towards were people. ما لكم لا تناصرون. The question is said here, why don't you help each other? Why don't you help each other? Why do you not help each other? But they are in surrender. هم اليوم مستسلمون. Okay. And then what will happen? Again, this argument, this disputation between those who are followed and those who are followers, between those who are in servitude and the idols. Okay, the shuraka and the mushrikeen and the shuraka. فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون. So some will turn to others, question. قالوا إنا كنا لكم قالوا إنكم كنتم تأتوننا عن اليمين. They will say, indeed, you used to come at us from the right, right? You used to come at us, telling us, telling us from the right, as in, of course, the good things, telling us you don't need to do this, or preventing us from going towards the right. Just like again in the beginning, the first verses we looked at of Surah Nuh, of those who pressured, who came to those to the leaders who told the others, don't listen to Nuh, listen to us, don't leave Suwa', Yaghuth, Ya'uq, Nasra, don't leave your idols, these people, okay? قالوا إنكم كنتم تأتوننا على اليمين, and then they will say قالوا بل لم تكونوا مؤمنين. No, it's rather you yourselves, you are not faithful. Okay, don't put it on us. Okay, we again just like Shaytan would say, all I did was call you. Okay, I had no authority upon you. They will say the same thing. Okay, وما كان لنا عليكم من سلطان. Like I said, right? And we had had over you no authority. We had no sultan over you. بل كنتم قوما طاغين. But you people yourselves were a transgressing people. Okay, just like again in another verse it says about Fir'aun, فاستخف قومه فأطاعوه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين. He sort of tricked or beguiled his people, okay, and they followed him, okay, because they were transgressing people. Okay, and then it says فحق علينا قول ربنا إنا لذائقون. Okay, so the word of our Lord has come into effect upon us, all of us. Indeed, we will taste the punishment. And then it says فَأَغْوَيْنَاكُمْ إِنَّا كُنَّا غَاوِينَ. We led you astray, okay, because we ourselves were astray. Who are these again? Remember, these are احشروا الذين ظلموا وأزواجهم وما كانوا يعبدون. Okay, gather those who committed wrong, their kinds, and what they used to worship. Okay, what they used to worship, the people, right? We led you astray because we ourselves were astray. فَأَغْوَيْنَاكُمْ إِنَّا كُنَّا غَاوِينَ. Okay, so that's another verse showing clearly again that the idols, the shirk, the main shirk in the Quran is about the people. Okay, and here again it says, وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنْ يَدْعُو مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. And who is more astray than he who invokes besides Allah those who will not respond to him until the day of judgment? Why? Because on the day of judgment they will be resurrected. Again, the idols, the wooden, the inanimate idols will not be resurrected on the day of judgment, but people who are now invoking, people right now, Muslims right now, they invoke people of the past in this kind of invocation, and these people they will not respond until Judgment Day when you will argue with each other. Okay, like we just saw. Okay, how some will argue with other on the Day of Judgment, and we'll see that again. مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. And furthermore, وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِمْ غَافِلُونَ. Okay, and they don't know anything about the invocation. Okay, these people who died long ago. Okay, they're unaware of their invocation. And then it says, وَإِذَا حُشِرَ النَّاسِ. And when the people are gathered, people again, كَانُوا لَهُمْ أَعْدَاءَ. They will be enemies to them. Okay, they will be enemies to them. Why? Because sometimes these people who are being invoked, these people of the past who are being invoked, they themselves were actually pious, righteous people. Okay, and they did their best. They might have made mistakes and things like this. They might have made bad judgments or something. But maybe generally, on the balance, because on the Day of Judgment will be balanced, right? The good deeds will be weighed against the bad. On balance, maybe they were good and they didn't ask to be worshipped or to be followed in that kind of way. Okay, with a hush, and so these people, they will be actually enemies to these followers of theirs at later times. وإذا حشر الناس كانوا لهم أعداء وكانوا بعبادتهم كافرين. And they were to the ibadah that these later people did to them, they reject it. Okay, they will deny it, and they will be deniers of their worship. Okay, and all of these are people, nas. Okay, وإذا حشر الناس. Okay, وكانوا بعبادتهم كافرين. Okay, who is more astray than he who invokes besides God, he who will not respond to him until the day of judgment, and who is unaware of their invocation, and when all the people are gathered, okay, there will be to them an enemy, وَكَانُوا بِعِبَادِهِمْ, and they will deny their ibadah towards them. They will say, you should not have been in ibadah to us. You should not have been in ibadah to us. Okay? وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ مِنْ شُرَكَائِهِمْ شُفَعَاء وَكَانُوا بِشُرَكَائِهِمْ كَافِرِينَ. And there will not be for them among their alleged shuraka, partners, and any intercessors. They will not want to be intercessors for them. They will say, you were supposed to be in ibadah to God, not towards us. We will not be shufa'a for you. We will not be intercessors for you. Okay, and they will be disbelievers or rejectors of their shirk. وَكَانُوا بِشُرَكَائِهِمْ كَافِرِينَ. Okay, وَكَانُوا بِشُرَكَائِهِمْ كَافِرِينَ. So again, there are some who will be rejecting this. Okay, so there you have two groups of people who are taken as idols. Basically, there are those who put themselves forward as idols themselves. Okay, and they will be in hell and disputing with those even who followed them. And then there are others who did not put themselves forward as idols to be worshipped, and they will be in dispute with those who worship them, and they will reject them. Okay, they will say, no, get away from us. We had nothing to do with this. We had nothing to do with this. Okay. So again, here we just bring this back again to the other point. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت. Okay, those who have faith fight in the cause of Allah, right? And those who have kufr fight in the cause of the taghut. So fight against the allies of Shaytan. Okay, the taghut is the allies of Shaytan. Taghut, it can be that represents the Shaytan or his allies. Okay, يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان. Okay, these taghut are the awliya of Shaytan. They are the awliya of Shaytan. Fight them. إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. The plot of Shaytan is ever weak. And here again, just to ramp this again, ولا تأكلوا, another verse, Surah Al-An'am, ولا تأكلوا مما لم يذكر اسم الله عليه وإنه لفسق. and do not eat of that upon which the name of Allah has not been mentioned, for indeed it is, fisq. Okay, fisq. And indeed do the devils, وَإِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ لَيُوحُونَ إِلَىٰ أَوْلِيَاهِمْ. Indeed, the shayateen inspire to their awliya, to their allies among men, to dispute with you, to argue with you, okay, to tell you do this or don't do this. Okay, they will dispute with you. Okay, the shayateen inspire to the awliya. Okay, the shayateen inspire towards the awliya, and of course behind them is, Shaytan himself, or you could say Shaytan is the shayateen. It's not important. Again, don't worry too much about is Shaytan one specific person or not. We're looking at the broad lines that are being drawn here. And it says, وَإِنْ أَطَعْتُمُوهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ لَمُشْرِكُونَ. And if you were to obey them, if you obeyed them, you would be mushrikun. You would be mushrikun, associated. So again, the idea of shirk is about this obedience, this ibadah, this servitude. Okay, وَإِنْ أَطَعْتُمُوهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ لَمُشْرِكُونَ. They will argue with you. Okay, they will be inspired by the shayateen to argue with you, and if you obey them, you will be mushrikun. And here again, وكذلك, and thus وكذلك زين لكثير من المشركين قتل أولادهم شركائهم. وكذلك زين لكثير من المشركين قتل أولادهم شركائهم. And likewise, like this, did to many of the polytheists. Okay, again, I don't accept. You shouldn't be called the mushrikeen. Okay, their partners, the shuraka, the idols, people. Okay, have made it seem pleasing the killing of their own children. Okay, the killing of, again, inanimate idols, inanimate wooden idols don't do this. Okay, they don't make it seem right that you should kill your own children, but people do. Okay, people do, and if you are in ibadah towards them, they will زخرف القول غرورا. They will use words of embellishment of this to make it seem like it's the right thing to do. Kill your, sacrifice your firstborn for God's sake, and you'll receive this, or it's one of the good things to do, etc. That sort of thing. Okay, شركاؤهم. Okay, and why? ليردوهم وليلبسوا عليهم دينهم. Okay, why? In order to bring about their destruction and to cover them with their own deen. Okay, or here it says to cover them with confusion in their deen. وَلِيَلْبِسُوا عَلَيْهِمْ دِينَهُمْ. يَلْبِسُوا, literally to clothe upon them their deen. Okay, but also the word lips is used for like confusion, right? Can use that. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا فَعَلُوهُ. And if God had willed, they would not have done so. So leave them and that which they invent. Leave them that which they invent. Okay, all these things which they invent. Okay, through which they embellish. Okay, زين وكذلك زين لكثير من المشركين قتل أولادهم شركاؤهم. Okay, they embellish it, they invent all these lies to make this seem pleasing. Okay, to their followers, that they should do this. Okay, but interestingly, the Quran is saying, فَذَرْهُمْ وَمَا, leave them in that which they invent. Okay, let them invent it. Why? Because it's part of the ibtila, the testing of this world. It's not. The Quran never tells the Prophet to sort of like fight against these lies, or try to minimize them, or try to curtail them, or no, leave them. Let them do that. Let them invent these things. Okay, Zarhum, leave them and what they invent, because it has a purpose in this world. Okay, like with like. Okay, like kullun ya'malu ala shakilati. Everybody will do according to his nature, and the nature which they choose for themselves. Here again, Ya bani Adam, la yaftinannakum ash-shaytan. O children, let not Shaytan tempt you, as he removed your parents from paradise, stripping them of their clothing to show them their private parts, as they say here, right? But the thing I want to show, إِنَّهُ يَرَاهُ وَهُوَ قَبِيلٌ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. Okay, he sees you, and he and his tribe from where you do not see them. But the point I wanted to show, this last part of this verse, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Okay, we have made the shayateen awliya. So again, going back to that first thing we mentioned, the awliya of Shaytan, the awliya of Ar-Rahman. Okay, we have made the shayateen awliya لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ, to those who do not have faith. If you don't have faith, the shayateen will become your awliya. Allah has made it that way. And then it says, وَإِذَا عَلُوا فَاحِشَةً. Okay, another verse. This is a completely different surah, by the way. وَإِذَا فَعْلُوا, or is it the same? No, it's the same. Sorry, next verses. So just look at this, okay? So we have made the shayateen awliya, okay, to those who have not faith. Now look at what that causes them to do, okay? Those who don't have faith. وَإِذَا فَعْلُوا فَاحِشَةً. Okay, again, faith, not belief, because you'll see that these people believe in God. وَإِذَا فَعْلُوا فَاحِشَةً قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاؤُنَا وَاللَّهُ أَمَرَنَا بِهَا. And when they commit an immorality, they say, we have found our fathers doing it, and Allah has ordered us to it. Say, indeed, Allah does not order to immorality. قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ أَتَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Do you say about God that which you do not know? And this is exactly what Shaytan tries, right? This again shows you the link. Shaytan is mentioned in the previous verse. Okay, we made shayateen the awliya, those who don't have faith. And look what they're saying. They're saying about God that which they do not know. And this again is one of the things which in the Qur'an Allah talks about the Shaytan. إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He orders you towards su, evil, and fahsha, which is also mentioned here, and that you say about God that which you do not know. Okay, so this is the result of their taking the awliya, the shayateen to be awliya. But who are physically, who is telling them, who is showing them this way? Okay, it's that we found our forefathers upon it. Okay, we found our forefathers upon it. وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاؤُنَا. Okay, our forefathers were doing this. Okay, and then afterwards they try to pin it on Allah, saying Allah ordered us. Okay, but no, it's their forefathers, the awliya of Shaytan. Okay, their forefathers, either themselves or the awliya of Shaytan, or they're getting it from the awliya of Shaytan. قُل, and then the Prophet is told, commanded, قُل أَمَرَ رَبِّي بِالْقِسْطِ. Say, O Muhammad, my Lord has ordained justice. Okay, Allah has ordained justice. وَأَقِيمُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ وَادْعُوهُ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Okay, my Lord has ordered justice, and that you maintain yourselves in ibadah to Him at every place of prostration, and invoke Him. Okay, invoke Him. Don't invoke your forefathers like they did in this previous verse. Okay, when they do this fahsha, what do they say? The saying is invoking. We found our forefathers upon it, and God has ordered to. They're invoking their forefathers. Okay, they're invoking their forefathers, the awliya of Shaytan. Okay, but it says here, وَدْعُوهُ, invoke Him only. وَدْعُوهُ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Okay, invoke Him only for the deen. Don't invoke Him with your forefathers, right? Because it's this part of invoking their forefather which is covering up for them that of course Allah does not order fahsha. Okay, of course. أدعوهم مخلصين له الدين كما بدأكم تعودون. Okay, so call upon Him only, right? And then it says here, فريقا هدى وفريقا حق عليهم الضلالة. Okay, a group of you will be guided, He guided, and a group deserved to be in error. Indeed, and here it is again, indeed, إنهم اتخذوا الشياطين أولياء من دون الله ويحسبون أنهم مهتدون. Okay, indeed, they had taken the devils, shayateen, as awliya instead of Allah, while they thought that they were guided. Okay, ويحسبون أنهم مهتدون. Okay, they've taken these their forefathers in religion, or scholars, or or actual forefathers. Okay, like biologically, and they think that and they've taken these shayateen as awliya, and they think that they are guided. Okay, so these verses sort of string it all together. It's talking about Bani Adam, do not let Shaytan deceive you. Okay, we have made Shaytan the awliya of those who do not have faith. And when they do something fahisha, they say, we found our forefathers upon it, and God commands us to us. And then the verse is defending God, saying, no, God does not order fahsha. Fahsha is what Shaytan orders towards. And don't say about God that which you do not know. That's what Shaytan tries to get you to do as well. And rather God orders justice. Okay, and that you establish yourselves in every place of prostration properly, and that you invoke only Him in your deen. وَادْعُوهُ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Okay? And كَمَا بَعْدَكُمْ تَعُودُونَ, and some of you will be guided and some of you will be in error because you have taken the shayateen as awliya. Okay, so these are very comprehensive set of verses there. Here is another verse in Surah Al Imran. الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم. Okay, those whom other people told them, people have gathered for you, so fear them. Okay, who is saying you should fear? People. People are telling these other faithful people, fear. People have gathered towards you, so fear them. Okay. And so, what did this do to those who had real faith? فَزَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. So they said, increased them in faith, and they said, حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. God is enough for us, and He's the best disposer of affairs, I suppose. I haven't put the translation of this part. You'll see why in a minute. And then it says, فَانْقَلَبُوا بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ سُوءٌ وَاتَّبَعُوا رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ. So they came away with grace and blessings from their Lord. No harm shall befall them, and they followed the pleasure of Allah. Wallahu dhu fadlin azim, and God has immense grace. And then it says what? إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Okay, it's true. This is truly only Shaytan. يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ. Okay, he makes his awliya afraid. He tries to make his awliya afraid, or he tries to make strike fear using his awliya. فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ. So don't fear them, but fear وَخَافُونَ. Fear me. In kuntum mu'minin, if you have faith. So if you go back to those verses, the ones who are saying, فَخْشَوْهُمْ, fear the people. Okay, those who are saying, the people who said the other people have gathered against you, so fear them. Okay, where is that command to fear coming from? It's coming from Shaytan. إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ. Okay, he tries to fear, make fear his allies, or make fear using his allies. Then the Quran says, فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ فَخَافُونَ. But the point is, I'm showing again this link. Okay, you have Shaytan, the people. Okay, the awliya, his awliya. Okay, and then those who will follow them or not follow them. Okay, so don't fear them, fear me. Okay, don't follow them, follow me. Right. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس كان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه. Okay, and when we told the malaika, the angels, to prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated except for Iblis, he was of the jinn and departed from the command of his Lord. And then it says, okay, أفتتخذونه وذريته أولياء من دوني. Then will you take him and his descendants as awliya, as allies other than me, while they are enemies to you? وهم لكم عدو بئس للظالمين بدلا. Okay, how terrible an exchange it is for the wrongdoers. So again, this chain, okay, Shaytan, his awliya, and those who will take them as, who will, Shaytan, in this case, his dhurriya, his descendants, okay, and will you take them as awliya or not? Would you be part of the awliya or not, of the allies or not? Okay, and then it says here, next verse, ما أشهدتهم خلق السماوات والأرض. I did not show them, I did not reveal to make them witnesses of the creation of the heavens and the earth, and not even the creation of their own selves. ولا خلق أنفسهم وما كنت متخذ مضلين عضدا. And I would never take the misguiders as assistants. Meaning what? Meaning the people who are taken sometimes as awliya. Okay, they are seen as assistants of Allah. Right? Those people are taken as awliya. Okay, the people who take the dhurriya of Shaytan as they think they're assistants of Allah. Right? Scholars of God, the priests of God. Allah says, no, I will never take the misguiders as assistants. Okay, don't take them as shuraka. Don't bring ibad or servitude towards them. They are not my assistants. I would not take the misguiders as assistants. ما كنت متخذا مضلين عضدا. Okay, don't glorify these people. I did not make them witnessed the creation of the heavens and earth. They don't know everything. Okay, it's big. So you don't know. They don't know everything. They didn't witness the creation of the heavens and earth. I didn't. They are not my assistants. They don't have this kind of authority. Okay, and then it says, وَيَوْمَ يَقُولُ نَادُ شُرَكَائِي, and on one of the day when he will say, call then these partners which you claim, my partners, these people who you said are my assistants, which you took as partners. Okay, call them. فَادْعُوهُمْ. Okay, فَادْعُوهُمْ. الذين زعمتم فدعوهم, so they will call them, فلم يستجيبوا لهم. Okay, but they will not respond. Okay, they will invoke them, but they will not respond to them, and we will put between them a valley of destruction. I don't know. لهم وجعلنا بينهما موبقا. Okay, but again, just showing that same link. Okay, the idols, the shurka, are always people. They're always the people. It's not the shirk in the Quran. It's always about it's never about the inanimate objects. Okay, that's not where the real danger of shirk is. Okay, so here again, this is one in verse. ألا لله الدين الخالص. We saw that idea of ikhlas in deen, right? Truly, for Allah is a deen al-khalis. Okay, for question for Allah is pure deen. Okay, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ, and those who take protectors besides him, awliya besides him, what do they say? Okay, these awliya, these people, what those who have taken these people, these awliya, these people as awliya besides him, what do they say? مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. We are only in ibadah towards them so that they may bring us nearer to Allah. Like they are assistants of Allah. They will help bring us closer to Allah by following, this person or that person, or this book or that book, or this or that. We are strictly, we're going to be in complete servitude to these people. Why? Because we think they will bring us closer to Allah. Okay, that these people are assistants to Allah. They're close to Allah. We are only ibadah to them so that they will bring us closer, لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. But then the interesting thing is here, Allah says here, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْكُمُ بَيْنَهُمْ فِيمَا هُمْ فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ. Okay, indeed Allah will judge between them concerning that over which they differ. Okay, so Allah will judge between them, not only the awliya and those who have taken them for ibadah. Okay, but also He will judge these people for what they are saying. Because this next part of the verse makes it seem as if they are lying. They are saying that we are only in ibadah to them so they can bring us closer to Allah. But other verses of the Quran tell you that some of these people, they love these idols. Okay, now those who take these idols, okay, or next to Allah, and they love them, okay, as they should love Allah. Okay, so it's not really that they're saying, okay, we only in ibadah to them so that they will bring us closer to Allah, that the goal is really Allah. No, they're liars. Okay, there's this implication here that they are lying. Okay, at least some of them might be lying. That they're not really after Allah. They're in ibadah to them because they've loved the love of ibadah towards them has filled their hearts. Like when Israel is mentioned, وَشْرِبُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ الْعِجْرَ بِكُفْرِهِمْ, and the love of the golden calf was drank into their hearts because of their kufr. Okay, and there are some people who are like this, right? There are some people that will say, if they suspected, for example, that I don't know, that Abu Bakr or Umar were hypocrites, they would leave the religion. They would say, I can't believe in the religion anymore. Okay, well, this is now what do you mean? So your being in the deen as it is now is really out of love for Abu Bakr and Umar, right? If you suspected or thought that they were thing, then that would destroy your deen. Okay, so where is your ibad, your ikhlas to Allah? Ala lillahi dinul khalis. To Allah is the deen which is khalis. Where is that? But anyway, here, so again, the end of the verse says, Inna Allah la yahdi man huwa kadhibun kaffar. Okay, Allah will not guide he who is a liar and a ingrate, kaffar, right? So again, this is like it's like saying that these people who are saying this, they are not really being honest. They are lying. But Allah will judge. Maybe some of them are being truthful, in which case, in the end, Allah will judge them. Okay, this is a very interesting verse because it's talking about these people and saying that, it's not just saying that they will be in hell, that's it. Okay, this verse doesn't condemn these people who are saying this. It doesn't condemn them to hell. It's saying that God is going to judge them. So that means also we here, okay, we don't, it's not for us to judge them, okay, because Allah will judge the ones who are lying and the ones who are not. Okay. وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, and mention the day when He will gather them and that which they were in ibadah towards other than Allah. فَيَقُولْ أَنْتُمْ it will be said to them, okay, to those who they were in ibadah towards, أَنْتُمْ أَضْلَلْتُمْ عِبَادِ هَؤُلَاءِ, did you mislead these my servants, or did they themselves stray away? Okay, so these seem to be people who were taken as idols, but they were actually themselves didn't put themselves forward to be idols. Okay, these were actually pious, really, truly pious people. So Allah will question them, like Isa alayhi salam. Isa will be questioned that way. Okay, did you tell people to take yourself and your mother as two gods besides God? Allah will question him, right? In the same way, Allah will question these others. فيقول أنتم أضللتم عبادي هؤلاء أم هم ضلوا السبيل. Did you mislead these my servants, or did they themselves go astray? And they will say what? قالوا سبحانك ما كان ينبغي لنا أن نتخذ من دونك من أولياء. Exalted are you. It was not for us, us who are righteous servants in this case, to take besides you any awliya. We didn't take anybody as awliya, okay, other than you, and we did not ask anybody else basically to take us as awliya other than you either, okay. But the sort of direct one-to-one view here is when they're saying that we did not take. It was not for us to take other than you as awliya. Is in that way they are rejecting that they put themselves forward to be objects of ibadah. And then it says, وَلَكِنْ مَتَّعْتُهُمْ وَآبَاؤُهُمْ حَتَّى نَسُوا الذِّكْرَ. Okay, but you provided comfort for them and their forefathers until they forgot the message. وَكَانُوا قَوْمًا بُورًا, and they were people ruined. Okay, so the time went on, and they forgot the dhikr. Okay, they left behind the dhikr. Like the dhikr in the Qur'an, right, which is preserved. They forgot it, and instead, okay, we who benefited from the dhikr, we the righteous people who benefited from the dhikr, who became, who did not take any as awliya except for you, okay, and because of that we benefit from the dhikr, right, and maybe they became great scholars or saints or people who were looked up to, okay, but these later people, they forgot the dhikr and they took us as objects of ibadah, okay. They left aside the dhikr which we ourselves benefited from, and instead took us as objects of worship, okay, objects of servitude, of ibadah. That some things that we said or things that we did this way, or we did something this way, and suddenly everybody else is doing things the way we did it, how or taking our words as authoritative above the dhikr. ومن أضل ممن يدعو من دون الله من لا يستجيب له إلى يوم القيامة. I think I already put this verse with حشر الناس. Yeah, I think I did. How long left? This has actually been quite long. Okay, so here is another one. ويوم نحشرهم جميعا ثم نقول للذين أشركوا مكانكم أنتم وشركاؤكم. And mention the day when we will gather them all together, and then we will say, gather them again. So these are people, right? Again, who will be gathered all together. ثم نقول للذين أشركوا مكانكم. Then we will say to those who are associators, okay, الذين أشركوا, remain in your place, you and your shuraka. Stay in that place, in this place, you and your shuraka. فزيلنا بينهم. Okay, and then we will divide between them. Okay, so we can ask this side and ask that side. وقال شركاؤهم ما كنتم إيانا تعبدون. And then these shuraka will say, who will say this? Hubal, Lat, Uzza. Will they say this? This will be people. Okay, they will say, ما كنتم إيانا تعبدون. You did not used to be in ibadah to us. You didn't used to worship us. Okay, فكفى, they're trying to disassociate themselves. they're scared now. It's the day of judgment. Okay, they're trying to say, no, you weren't in ibadah to us. Okay, فَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. We're calling Allah to witness between us and between you. إِن كُنَّا عَنْ عِبَادَتِكُمْ لَغَافِلِينَ. We were unaware. We knew nothing about your ibadah towards us. Okay, these are people. Okay, these are the people. Again, and then it says, هُنَالِكَ تُبْلَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا أَسْلَفَتْ. On that day, every soul will be put to trial for what it had done previously. And very interesting, the word here, you have ma aslafat. Think of the salaf, right? Salafiyya, right? Everybody will be tested for what they had, they had left behind. وَرُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. They will all be returned the matter, or they will all be returned to their real mawla. We're talking about again awliya, okay, their real mawla, Allah, the haqq. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتُرُونَ. All of the things which they invented, all of that which he used to invent, narrations, hadiths, this, that, the other, all of that will leave them. Okay, it will be lost. It's not there. They won't find it. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ. Okay, and lost from them, it won't be there. Okay, it won't support them, won't help them. Okay, what will matter then is just who did you take as your awliya, who you're in ibadah towards. Okay. وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ آلِهَةً لِيَكُونُوا لَهُمْ عِزًّا. Okay, and they have taken besides Allah others, deities, aliha, that they would be for them a source of honor or strength or might. Okay, so they've taken these aliha, okay, so that they will be a source of strength for them. Okay, kalla, it says no, سَيَكْفُرُونَ بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ, just as we've seen already, all these verses. No, they will deny their worship towards them. وَيَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضِدًّا, and on the day of judgment they will be their opponents. Okay, so who are these aliha? These aliha, are they wood and stone idols? Will they be the opponents on the day of judgment? All of these verses that we've seen so far of the followed and the followers, they're trying to put the blame on each other, right? They're enemies towards each other, opponents towards each other. Okay, and here, like we just said, فَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا, Allah is a witness between us and you. You are not in ibadah to us. Okay, we deny your worship towards us. We deny it. Well, these are people. Okay, these aliha here, the aliha are people. Okay, سَيَكْفُرُونَ بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ. They will reject, deny their ibadah. وَيَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضِدًّا, and on their judgment they will be opponents. An interesting verse here. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا, again the shayateen. Okay, bringing the shayateen into this discourse. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ تَؤُزُّهُمْ أَزًّا. Do you not see how we have sent the shayateen? Okay, of course, this is not Allah is sending the shayateen, but Allah let this happen, right? For this purpose, okay, to see who will follow, who will not follow. Okay. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ تَؤُزُّهُمْ أَزًّا. Okay, they constantly inciting them. Okay, constantly real incitement. Okay, with all of the, you hear a lot of stuff. Every type of argument they try to bring you to make you be in ibadah. Okay, to these aliha. Okay, every type of argument, incitement, they try to make you feel embarrassed, feel ashamed. They try to tell you, what do you know? Okay, who knows better, you or this person, right? And you think you know better than Imam Bukhari, you think you know better than this, right? The whole ummah is following this, you're on your own, etc. All of this kind of stuff, right? And saying, do you not see that we are sending the shayateen al-kafirin ta'uzzuhum azza, inciting them to do all of this? Okay, inciting them, real incitement. Again here, وَيَوْمَ يُنَادِيهِمْ فَيَقُولُ أَيْنَ شُرَكَاءَ الَّذِينَ كُنْتُمْ تَزْعُمُونَ. Okay, and on the day when he will call them and say, where are my partners which you used to claim? Okay. قال الذين حق عليهم القول ربنا هؤلاء الذين أغوينا. Okay, and those upon whom the word would have come into effect will say, our Lord. Okay, so these are those who are taken as idols. He's saying these are people who are taken as idols. These were the shuraka, right? Our Lord, these are the ones we led astray. We led them astray. Okay, inanimate idols don't do that. Okay, people. أغويناهم. Okay, الذين أغوينا. These are the people we led astray. أغويناهم كما أغوينا. We led them astray just as we were led astray. Okay, we led them astray just as we were in error. تبرأنا لنا إليك. We declare our disassociation with them. They're trying to be free of them. Again, this is again like we're talking about here, right? يكونون عليهم ضده. On the day of judgment, they will be enemies to them. Okay, they will be their opponents. They're saying, yeah, these are the people that we led astray. We led astray just as we were astray. Well, but this day on the day of judgment, we declare ourselves to be disassociated from them. Okay, we don't want anything to do with them. Inna ilayka tabarra'na tabarra'na ilayka ma kanu iyana ya'budun. Okay, they weren't in ibadah to us. Okay, and of course, that's a lie. They were in ibadah to them. But they're trying to be their enemies here. This is the idea of enemies to each other on the day of judgment, and the idols and their followers. Okay, again here وقيل ادعوا شركاءكم فدعوهم فلم يستجيبوا لهم وروا العذاب لو أنهم كانوا يهتدون. And it will be said, invoke your partners now, invoke them. And they will invoke them, but they will not respond to them, and they will see the punishment if only they had followed guidance. If only they had followed guidance. And then, interesting, the next verse, bringing it all the way back to Nuh. وَيَوْمَ يُنَادِيهِمْ. And on that day, when we will call them, فَيَقُولْ مَاذَا أَجَبْتُمُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. What did you answer the messengers? What did you answer the messengers? Okay, so that you had these shuraka, again, going back to the verses of Nuh, where Nuh is calling to them, and you had your idols calling you to stick with your idols, with Ya'uq, Nasra, Yaghuth, Waddan, Su'an, Ya'uq, Nasra, stick with them. Okay, and that's what you answered the messengers. يوم يناديهم فيقول ماذا أجبتم المرسلين. And mention the day you will call them and say, what did you answer the messengers? What did you answer the messengers? Invoke your partners, okay? Invoke your shuraka. And now you are questioned, you and your shuraka, what did you answer the messengers? Okay, who did you follow? You followed the messengers or these whom you took as partners? All right, okay. That's basically the last verse. And I'll stop now. I know I've made this quite long, but I wanted to sort of like finish the section of talking about shirk and mushrikeen, and try to put it all in one place, a clear understanding of the real shirk in the Quran. Okay, it's all about the people, the followers. It's not about the inanimate idols, which is why they are hardly mentioned in the Quran at all. Okay, and when they are mentioned, how are they mentioned? In hiya illa asma'un sammaytumuha. These are just names you've named. Okay, ma anzalallahu biha min sultan. Okay, they're mentioned as a sort of like in a mockery way. Well, why does this one have why is this one a female and this one a male? Okay, all right. So let's hold it there. Anybody? I see a lot in the chat. Sorry, I haven't, of course, been looking at the chat. So I'll look at it now and see. Let me change this up a bit. Bring myself a little bit into the picture. All right. If you have anything to put in the chat, or if you want to come on briefly, because it's getting pretty late, and I would like to close this up in maybe 15 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. But if you have something, please do come on to share. Sam, Qur'anic Islam, changing God's words, is it not saying clearly that God is sending Shaytan on them? Why say it is not? I don't know what you mean by that. Let me go back to that verse. Unless I misspoke about something. Yeah. ألم تر أن أرسلنا الشياطين على الكافرين تؤزهم أزا. Do you not see we have sent the shayateen upon the kafirin, inciting them with constant incitement? Yeah. I don't understand what you're asking, to be honest, Sam. Could you rephrase it? It is exactly what you're saying, exactly what the verse is saying. Sam, making perfect dawah. Can you see you backstage? I'll bring you on in a minute. Let me just go through the chat to see if there's anything for me. Okay. Abu Bakr and Umar were not hypocrites. Yeah, I mean, they were not, I don't think they were hypocrites, but their stature is much less than we usually think. What is fahisha? Moral controls. Yeah, fahisha. It's basically anything which is indecent, like something which is out of which is so out of place it causes embarrassment. Something out of place, sort of, it causes embarrassment. Okay, like it's not appropriate. Okay, it's out of bounds. These sort of things are fahisha. So indecencies, are, of course, fahisha. A lot of the times, of course, the main great fahish are often about sexual fahisha, okay, or words which are fahisha, and these sort of things. So it's that sort of thing. But it means things which are out of bounds. Like the Arabs would say, like somebody is is so tall, he's fahish at tul, right? He's fahish in his height, right? So you have a sort of somebody can be very tall in such a way that it's ugly, okay, it's out of place, it doesn't look right. Okay, that's in there. It can be described as a high, as tallness which is fahish. Okay, it's ugly, it's almost embarrassing, that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. So you have this, they don't know that, إنهم اتخذوا الشياطين أولياء من دونه ويحسبون أنهم مهتدون. They've taken the shayateen as awliya, other than Allah, and they think they are guided. They think they are guided. Okay, and even on Day of Judgment, some will come on Day of Judgment and say, Allah, we weren't in ibadah to others. No, but they were. Okay, they were. They were. Wallahi Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. That's the verse I was thinking of. Yeah, maybe I should have put that in on the slide as well. That there was on Day of Judgment say, Wallahi Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. So even on Day of Judgment, there are some who will come to Allah and they will insist to Allah, we were not mushrikeen. Because they think mushrikeen means, worshiping a inanimate idol. That's all they think. That's the childish thing that they still have. Okay, they will come on Day of Judgment swearing. Let me find the verse. Wallahi Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. I should have put that verse in. Ma kunna mushrikeen. Here it is. In Surah Al-An'am. That surah, by the way, has a lot about shirk. Surah Al-An'am has a lot about shirk. So it says, وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا. On the day when we will gather them all together. See how many times it's been mentioned, even in the verses we've looked at. And I've put on a lot of verses. There are many more. Okay. ويوم نحشرهم جميعا ثم نقول للذين أشركوا أين شركاؤكم الذين كنتم تزعمون. On the day we will gather them all together and we will say to those who are للذين أشركوا, those who are mushrikeen, where are your shuraka that you used to think they were? ثم لم تكن فتنتهم, and then the fitna will not be other than they will say قالوا والله ربنا ما كنا مشركين. They will say, by Allah, we were not mushrikeen. Okay, that's how they will respond. Allah will tell them, bring your idols they used to worship. They will look around and think, what do you mean? What do you mean? By Allah, we weren't mushrikeen. No, you were. Right? Then next verse says, انظر كيف كذبوا على أنفسهم. Look how they have lied upon themselves. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. And that which they made up has gone. It doesn't help them. Okay? منهم من يستمع إليك وجعلنا على قلوبهم أكنة أن يفقهوه في آذانهم وقرا. Right? And among them are those who will listen to you. What we're saying here. We listen to them. They will listen to these very verses talking about those who on the Day of Judgment will swear to Allah Himself that they were not mushrikeen. Okay, and they will listen to you recite these verses now, but it's as if there's a cover on their hearts. Okay, وَجَعَلْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَكِنَّةً أَن يَفْقَهُوهُ. They won't understand. وَفِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرًا. And in their ears is like a wax. وَيَرَوْا كُلَّ آيَةٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَا. And if they see every single verse, every single ayah, talking about what we know what it means to be what is shirk, okay, they will not have faith in it. حتى إذا جاءوك, until they even come to you, جادلونك, okay, they argue with you. يقول الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا أساطير الأولين. Those who have kafir will say, this is only tales of the ancients. You know, I should have really put that verse in there, but look at it up yourselves. This is in Surah Al-An'am, verses 22 to 23. Very key verses about that as well. There are people on the Day of Judgment, they will swear, they will come and they'll be swearing that they were not mushrikeen. Even though Allah is telling them, bring forth your idols, your shuraka, they will say, Wallahi Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. No, they were mushrikeen. Okay, you don't have to bow. You might have been bowing, doing salah and hajj and everything the whole of your life, but the whole of your life you are mushrik. Okay, you just didn't know it. Okay, you thought that shirk is just Lat and Hubal and these things. We have very good observation. I'm not going to look because there's too many comments. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to bring you on Perfect Dawah now. Not for too long, to be honest, because like I said again, it's pretty late. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, my brother. How are you, inshallah?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I just called to say that, first of all, I'm going to have a debate with Aaron next Saturday. If you would like, you can watch it. It's on MGD.
Who, sorry?
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron Ra.
Aaron Ra.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's about evidence for Islam. And then I was going to talk to you about last.
He's suddenly having all of these debates. I saw he spoke with somebody called, I forget who it was. Oh, he spoke with Daniel Hakikachu, right? I think he had.
He had a debate with him. Yeah, but that wasn't about evidence for.
Yeah, that was about something else. It was about secularism and all this.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the thing about it, I'm wondering when has he still yet to bring a, when I was on the streams he was doing about, an infidel reads the Qur'an, etc. I told him, look, you should bring on a scholar, a academic. There are people who are doing academic research on the Quran, secular studies on the Quran, just because he brings on secular people, secular scholars of the Bible. I said, okay, bring secular scholars of the Quran. I wonder if he ever did that. He probably didn't, I think, because he had a very, very shallow reading. I think some of it is he should know better, to be honest. I don't want to put it on the ex-Muslims who are with him. He should just know better than to allow himself to be led by the nose, But anyway. All right, okay, cool. So yeah, having a debate with him on what? On the modern day debate thing again, right?
Yes, modern day debate, yeah. It is 8 p.m. Central European Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah. Okay. And I would like to talk about last time you were talking about slave, to marry the slave women who are married.
Yeah.
And then you were mentioning that it has been done through the history. Even Germans were doing that, which I didn't.
No. You've got it wrong. No. I was talking about the captives.
Yeah, the captives. Yes, the
not
captives.
Slaves. No, captives. Yeah,
captives.
Captives.
But they are the same, like slaves. Yeah.
No, completely. There's the captivity and slavery. They're not the same.
Okay.
Very, very different. Yeah. Captivity and slavery. No.
But anyway,
you can have captives of war. You can't have slaves, whether they were prisoners of war or without war.
So you mean the verse is talking about women who were prisoners of war because women were not fighting?
What do you mean? When you take prisoners of war, okay, if you let's say, let's say you've taken, no, they were captured. There were still, you had women who could be captured from thing. It's like when you take over
Yeah.
a enemy tribe, and there were women who were captured, for example, in Khaybar, right? So,
Yeah.
for example,
Hmm.
Sophia, okay, she
Okay.
was a captive. There were many captive women
Yeah.
in the Prophet's time, right? So
Yeah.
Sophia was a captive. Juwayriya, she was a captive.
Hmm.
Remember when the battle against Bani Mustaliq, right?
Okay.
Captives then, okay. Hawazin, okay. So many captives, right? Hawazin,
So these
after
women
the
were.
conquest of Mecca,
Mhm.
the one who was leading the 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 people of Taif and the surrounding, against the advice of his sort of like of the other tribal leaders, he said, "Let's bring all of our wealth and all of our women with us to the battle." Okay,
Mhm.
why? Because that will make the fighters fight harder,
Mhm.
and they will not run away.
Okay.
So then they
Uh,
done. That was, of course, the Battle of Hunain, and of course,
yeah.
the Muslims they won that, and there was then so many
Yeah.
captives.
All right. But let me say that Brother Rashid had a video
Mm.
regarding this your right hand possess. Yeah. And he
Mm.
was I liked it very much. Yeah, because he was putting them as as refugees, as those who were coming and taking refuge to in Medina, for example, or second-hand citizens. Okay, because he was saying that as well, that slaves are those captives of war or whatever they are, and those whose Quran talking about is abd. Okay, and then another word is I forgot the word. In Arabic there are two words in Quran that is mentioned, the slaves. Okay, but these malik al iman, yeah, yes, or your right hand possess, and these were those who were coming, like we come to Sweden, for example, and we don't have permission. Okay, and then uh, some people, to get the permission or to get the citizenship or whatever, they get married. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about these types of people, okay, who didn't have the citizenship, or they were not from that place, and or women who had left Mecca, or the pagans, and they had
I get you.
come.
I'd have to look at that, but on
Yes.
first glance, it doesn't seem right because already basically what you're talking about is the muhajirat, and that's already mentioned in the Quran. Ya
Yeah.
ayyuhan nabi, ja'aka al-muhajirat.
Okay.
Okay, there's a verse all about them, all about these women who come who do hijrah. The whole
Okay.
verse, they're called muhajirat. They're not called ma malakat aymanikum.
Mhm.
No, it's not. It's not ma malakat aymanikum. I don't think at all. Women that just come as refugees or this. No, in the end, it's immigrants. In the Quran, they're called muhajirat. Those who did hijrah, basically. That's what you're talking about. Okay,
uh,
those who did hijrah, and there's a whole verse on that. And the verses of Al-Mumtahina, the surah is even named after
mhm.
such women. Okay,
But anyway,
Najat,
it is a long,
Hajrat,
it was a
yeah.
long video as well, and Brother Rashid explained it through Quran, verses of Quran, and he explained it, and
Yeah, I'd
I.
have, I'd have to look at it. I'd have to look at it, but like I said, on first glance, doesn't seem right. I mean, ma malakat aymanukum
Mhm.
it's a general word. I mean, even just the word itself, the wording of it, it's made purposely to be general. Ma malakat, whatever your hands own. Okay, what your hands own.
Somebody
Okay,
else called
that's
called
what.
yes,
Yeah, what
somebody
your
else.
oaths known or something.
Yes,
Somebody
yes,
said that, but
yeah.
no, it's ma
Some,
malakat ayman.
yeah,
That's why in
brother.
some of them, ma
Yeah,
malakat yaminuk. Okay,
yeah.
your
Okay.
right, what your right hand possesses. So
Yes.
I know that this thing, but in the end, look, even when we talk about um, your right hand, what your right hand owns, like your oaths own. The reason why the oaths are called by right hand in Arabic is because when you make an oath, you shake hands with your right hand,
Mhm. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's all in the end, it comes back to your hand.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's about hands, right?
Okay,
What your hands own. What your oaths own is really what what you've like agreed. You shake your hands. You shake a
okay.
let's shake on it, right? To
Mhm.
make an oath. let's shake on it. You will shake your right hand. It's about shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
So وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ is what your hand. So even if you were to say, to put it in this general kind of way, it just doesn't work. But
Mm-hmm.
it is, if you want to specify it, I mean, because it's just a general thing. So
Okay.
مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, okay, it's just those in your power. Those in
Yeah.
your power. They can be the captives, okay, and it can also include the slaves. Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
some of the verses of the Quran also includes slaves. Yes, now because it combines both. Yes, there is also the verses in the Quran where not many, okay, but there's a couple of verses which talk about ibad, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that marry, and now those verses are the ones which talk specifically about the slaves that you should marry them, let them get married, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so again, it's another one. Just in the end, it goes back to that they are to be married. But ma malakat aymanukum is general, But the verse that we were talking about is um, المحصنات من النساء إلا ما ملكت أيمانكم. Right. So in the end, whether you talk about it, because the issue of contention isn't isn't what ملكت أيمانكم means. The issues of contention that's used by anti-Islamists is that they are already married.
Mm-hmm.
That they are already married. So this proposition of Rashid, yeah, it doesn't seem to work, because then it's like saying, okay, these women who have just come as refugees, as freely as refugees, right?
Okay.
And they're just coming in, and you're allowed to marry them even though they're already married. How does that
Even they
work?
are, yes, they are married because they perhaps they left their family, their husband. They don't want
No,
to,
but they
so
can
they
go
left.
back and divorce. They should go back and divorce. Why
Yeah,
can't they go
maybe.
back and divorce?
Yeah, because maybe they ran away. If they go back, the husband, keep them. They cannot go back and divorce. Okay, so
No, no. Well, look. If that's the case, if that's the thing, like I said, that situation is already mentioned in another surah in the Quran, and in that case, the Muslims are supposed to do what? They're supposed to actually pay the husbands of the runaway wives. They have
okay,
to give them back their dowry. It's
okay.
mentioned in
Yes, I know.
the in the
I've
Quran. Yeah.
read that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've read that.
well, and that they're called muhajirat. إذا جاءك المهاجرات. They're not called ما ملكت أيمانكم.
Hmm.
Okay, so there you're supposed to actually give the the husbands who they have run away from. Okay,
Hmm.
give them back their thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
but the situation you're talking about, it seems to be like just an open thing. This is just like a there's no conflict between the sides. If it's just
okay.
a refugee from one place to another, no, that's why it has to be something which is about one country at war with another country, and that there makes sense. That's the only time where you'll be able to where you can marry a woman who is already married, okay, and that is if she is a woman who's married to an enemy, to a foreign force. That's
Hmm.
the only time really that it makes sense.
But if she doesn't want to marry,
Look, you can't. If she doesn't want to marry, she doesn't marry. You don't have to force her. Okay, of
yeah,
course not. Yeah, but
exactly.
but she wants to marry. That's the
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
She wants
Since
to
it
marry
is,
her. She wants to marry you. You want to marry her, but she's already married. Can you
yeah,
marry her?
so yeah, of course,
Absolutely.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah,
For
but
me, it's yes.
no, but
If it,
absolutely not. Okay, if 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 she can get a divorce. She has
no,
to get a
no,
divorce first. If she can
okay,
get a divorce, you
yeah,
can't marry a married woman. It's like
no,
now
no,
saying, okay, there's a woman's married. She comes, she's already married. She says, okay, I want to marry you, and you want to marry me. Let's get married. It's like, no, no, you're already
okay,
married.
no. I
Okay,
understand. Yeah,
and
but
she
you
can
have
get
to.
divorced, then she has to
Yeah,
get divorced. If there's no
exactly.
way to get divorced, okay,
Yes. If
that's the
there's
only.
no way to get divorced, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean that.
exactly, and that can only be the case, okay,
Yeah.
between warring factions.
No,
That can only be
it
the case
cannot be
between
only
warring
that.
factions.
No, it
Well,
cannot be
what else
only
is
that.
there? What
Let
else
me
is
tell
there?
you. Okay, let me tell you. For example, in some kind of Muslim countries, like in Iran, you cannot.
Hmm.
A woman doesn't have the right to divorce if husband doesn't want to divorce her. So she has no right to divorce. It is. in
Okay,
man's
but
power. Okay, so in that case,
but
she cannot
no,
get divorced.
no,
Okay.
but that's okay. That's a bit that's got to do with the thing. And if that's the case, then again, it's got to do with the laws which are there. Okay, it's got
Hmm.
to do with the laws which are there. Okay,
But the
she
law,
can still get it.
the law.
She can no, but she can still technically. Okay, she can go over there and just declare, look, I don't want to be married anymore, and then she'd be like you said, like a runaway wife, like a
Yeah,
runaway
but
wife.
how she can go
In
back
which
there?
case, no, but again,
Ah,
in which case, I'm saying, in which case, again, you would have to, that's, she becomes those muhajirat, right?
okay,
You'd give the dowry
okay,
to the thing, and she's divorced now. You'd
okay.
give back the dowry, okay?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
automatically, that's sort of like a divorce. You have to give back the dowry to the husbands, okay? And you
yeah,
tell them, look, we've divorced you.
okay.
We, from our side, have divorced you,
Exactly.
okay?
That's I understand.
But
Anybody should understand that.
but if it's a warring with another, you're not going to give back the dowry.
Hmm.
If it's with with an opposing military force, you're not going to give them money, okay, that they could use to buy weapons to continue
No,
the war between
definitely
you.
not.
Okay,
Hmm.
so you're not going to go and give them back the dowry and say we divorce you. No,
Hmm.
okay, you're going to
No.
say no. She can just be married over here.
Hmm.
So anyway, but I know I'll look it up. I'll look at Brother Rashid's
Yeah. Anyway, I
video
understand.
live. I have the time.
But there is no force anyway. So
Yeah, of course not.
we understand there is no force, and is like what they say, that is sex slavery and so on. It cannot be
Mm,
possible like that, and because
yeah,
as long as she doesn't agree with that, so you cannot marry her. Only if she
yeah,
agree, or only if she wants.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and yeah. Another thing is that also about this, your right hand possess. There is a Professor Edip. I don't know if you have heard his name. He also say that this is the one you have contract with you with. Okay, so he explain it as somebody whom you have contract with. I don't know exactly what he meant, but it's kind of the same that you
Who
make a
said that?
contract.
Sorry.
And his name is Dr. Edip.
Hmm. Oh,
He's
Egypt, yeah.
Edip, yeah.
The
He's a Quranist actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But he's
One of the 19 ones who are about the 19, number 19, miracle 19. One of
yeah,
those. He was
yeah, yeah.
a follower of what's his name? Rashad Khalifa. Rashad Khalifa. Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what um yeah, I mean, what I don't see. I just don't see it. These kind of like, oh, they're the ones that you have contracts with, you know.
Hmm.
All of these getting con. You know, the fact of the matter is there were there were almost half of the society of Medina were slaves.
Hmm.
Not almost half of them, right? Most of the a lot of the conservatively you'd say a third, up to a
Hmm.
third. Okay, were slaves, right?
Hmm.
So they um, and they mentioned just as ما ملكت أيمانكم. Some of them, ما ملكت أيمانكم is a general term. That's what I understand. It includes captives and slaves, right?
Hmm.
So it includes the former slaves that were slaves before Islam. Not again. I've written a Reddit post about the whole issue of slavery. That there was no that enslaving people was and always was completely forbidden, right? It's
Exactly.
haram. It's, of course, it's dhulm, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But what couldn't happen is like sort of what happened in America, where the mass emancipation, okay, without any kind of like funds, compensation, nothing like that, okay? They
Hmm.
just, hey, you're all free now. Basically, go and be homeless, okay?
Yeah.
That couldn't happen. It couldn't be done. Like they're saying, why didn't Muhammad just free all the slaves? You know what kind of social chaos that would have created?
Hmm.
That wasn't the way it was to be done. And eventually, when the sort of the Muslim state at the time had become big enough that you could do a tax, which was in Surah Al-Tawbah, then one of the tax revenues was to free slaves.
I know, I know,
Okay,
I understand. Yes.
but before then, it was never allowed to enslave anyone. But at the
Hmm.
same time, you can't force somebody who just imagine somebody just before in Medina, just before the Prophet arrived.
Hmm.
Okay, he slavery is there, all right. He doesn't really think much of it. He's bought some slaves, spent some money, and they're expensive, right?
Yeah.
Then Muhammad comes and say, okay, all you slaves are free. All right, now you have to compensate this person, okay?
Yeah.
And that's how slavery, most of the slavery was ended around the world by compensation. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just this altruistic thing where people freed slaves. The American Civil War, okay, it was not to free slaves, had nothing to do with slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was not about freeing slaves. The North even put an offer to the South, to amend the Constitution to allow slavery forever. Okay, and
Yeah.
the South rejected it because it was really about taxes and tariffs and this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I
That was
understand.
the people of the North didn't go down and fight in the
Mm-hmm.
bloodiest war ever for the freedom of slaves, and then when they won, they went back to being racist, and then went back to basically ethnically cleansing the Native Americans and enslaving afterwards the Chinese because they enslaved the Chinese afterwards. It's
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just thing. So even Abraham Lincoln, he was only against slavery because he didn't want black people and white people to intermarry. That's really
Mm-hmm.
what he was, a white supremacist. He was just as racist as everybody else. Okay, and he was willing. He paid slave owners. What was it? $200 $300 per slave, right?
Mm-hmm.
To free. So he compensated slave owners $300, which is a lot of money back then per slave. But he did not pay the slaves anything. He would give them $100 if they left for Liberia, because that was one of the things that was happening at the time. That America founded the country of Liberia in Africa in order to ship all the black people there. Wanted to get all of the slaves over there. So Lincoln would give $100 to any black person, black slave who had been freed, if he would leave America. If he
Mm-hmm.
would leave America, you would get $100 to go to Africa, to Liberia. If you decide to stay in America, you would not get anything. But your former slave owner, he would get $300. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, I'm digressing here. The point is that the Quran never allowed, the Prophet never allowed anybody to be enslaved. Nobody was enslaved by the Prophet or anybody. He did not allow anybody to be enslaved. Okay, but slaves are already there. Okay, you can't forcefully emancipate them without compensation, which he did not have until much later when he started to get taxes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, brother. Thank you very much. I don't disturb you longer.
No, no problem. Okay,
And
that's fine.
yes, hope to see you again. Thank you, my
Okay,
brother.
Jazakallah.
Take care.
So,
Jazakallah. Assalamu
yeah,
alaikum.
too.
Salam.
Thank you. Let me just think. Yeah, so does your definition make all other religions traditions as shirk? No. Um, what it comes down to is you have to look at, is the ibad happening or not? Okay, no religious tradition in itself you'd say, okay, this is a religious tradition of shirk. Shirk, it all comes down to ibadah, okay, servitude. Okay, so all of the major religious traditions, they all command towards truth, justice. Those are the aims in the end, right? Those are the aims, um, and within them there might be other things calling to other than that. Okay, if you on servitude to those things, knowing that they are wrong, so they're anti-justice, anti-truth, anti all of this, but you still say, no, I'm going to follow this because this is this is the religion that teaches that. Now this is shirk. You're an ibadah to that. Okay, you're an ibadah to that. Okay, it's all about this. If you want to know if there's shirk or not, look, is there ibadah or not? Okay, look, is there ibadah or not? So, but they have polytheism. A lot of them, like in Hinduism, there's a lot of polytheism. Okay, but polytheism and shirk are not the same. Polytheism and shirk are not the same. Okay, they're not the same. In fact, somebody can be a polytheist, okay, believe in multiple deities and stuff like that, but still be in ibadah only to one deity. Okay, that person is not a mushrik. The person is not a mushrik. Okay, he's in ibadah to just one deity. He believes these other deities exist, but if any of them commanded him, told him do this or that, he would ignore them. Say, no, I'm not in ibadah to anything. I'm ibadah to this one God of mine. Okay, um, so shirk is about ibadah to multiple gods. Okay, in Islam, what's being denounced is shirk. Is shirk, of course, is to be in ibadah to Allah alone, and not to do any shirk with Him. Okay, so your ibadah should be to Allah alone, and without any shirk to others. Don't make Him a partner in your ibadah with anything else. Don't make anything else any partner in the ibadah to Him. My committed shirk listening and following you. Doesn't everyone learn from someone? Yeah, exactly. So you can learn from somebody and stuff like that. No, that isn't shirk. Okay, why isn't it shirk? Okay, if I told you tomorrow to go and kill somebody, are you going to listen to me? Okay, no. If I tried to tell you to do something which you know is wrong, are you going to? No. Okay, it's not about that. Okay, and that's why, for example, that the following and listening to the Prophet, that is not shirk. Okay, and that's why Allah says, "And tushriku billahi ma lam yunazzil bihi sultana," that you're in shirk with Allah towards that, regarding that upon which He has sent no authority. Okay, but the Prophet has sultan, right? Allah He gave authority to the Prophet. من يطع الله من يطع الرسول فقد أطاع الله. Whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah. Okay, and if you follow somebody, if you learn or follow or in obedience to somebody who is already commanding to what Allah is commanding to, that is also not shirk. Okay, that is all because you're following somebody who's commanding to what Allah has commanded anyway. Okay, shirk is about this kind of servitude, real servitude, not just for servitude. Means what? Means that it's you've elevated that person to the level with Allah. So now when Allah commands something and that other person commands something, you have two which you're in strife about it. You're like, it's a flip of a coin. Who shall I follow? I'm going to listen to Allah. I'm going to listen to this other person because you've put him on that level. Your ibadah to the person is now in partnership with your ibadah to Allah, the ibadah itself. Okay? Yeah, the actual servitude itself. Right? But in terms of somebody who themselves is in ibadah to Allah, okay, and they have sultan and Allah has told you to follow them, that kind of following, that isn't shirk. Okay, because somebody tells you, don't steal, and you obey them, you think that's shirk? No, that's not shirk, because you know that Allah Himself has commanded not to steal. Oh, this comment, yes. So, did you explain that, Sam? I don't know if you explained it. No, that wasn't it. If there's anything else which anybody has written, which I don't want to scroll all the way to the top, write it again now, because I want to end it otherwise. What is this? About the tall people. He didn't say. Quran says. All right, yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, maybe I didn't explain that properly. I'm just saying in Arabic language, like like for example in English, you'd say somebody is tall and gangly, right? Gangly. It's like it's not a good connotation, right? Somebody who's so tall, they are sort of like gangly. I don't know if you've heard that before. It's just in Arabic when you say somebody, you can say somebody, طويل طول فاحش, right? He is so tall, his tallness is fahish. Okay, it means it's sort of like out of bounds, right? Okay, you've seen that, and also it actually creates a lot of health problems. There was a person in London, in our area, who was in the Guinness Books of Record, this Somali guy, Guinness Book of Records, for among the tallest people in the world. And he has a lot of health problems because of it, right? Knee problems and that sort of stuff, because he's so tall. That height is okay. It doesn't look right as it is. It looks, in Arabic you could say, it looks fahish. Okay, but also it's so tall, it creates problems. It's out of bounds, right? You could say the same thing about somebody who's so fat, so obese, it's fahish. Okay, so it's just about the language. I was just trying to give an example of the word fahish and fuhsh, how it can be used. Okay, it's all about this kind of indecencies and ugliness, things which are embarrassing. Okay, these are things which are fahish, fuhsh, obscene words are a type of fuhsh because they are out of place, right? Um, like um, when somebody says, going, I need to go to we always, nature calls, right? Somebody wants to go to the bathroom, says nature calls. Why do you say nature calls? That's not fahish but to say these things explicitly, okay, it's more fahish because it's out of place, right? You shouldn't be speaking about the more private things, these kind of private things. You shouldn't be speaking about them explicitly, outwardly. Okay, that's not their place. Okay, so again, that's just about fuhsh. وهو يصوركم في الأرحام كيف يشاء سورة عمران. Okay. Imam Malik, tell people to follow Allah. So what is the problem of following him? No, nothing wrong with following him when he says that. Okay, absolutely nothing wrong with following him when he says that. But for example, when he says that whoever denigrates Sahaba, okay, then he should not be he's not entitled to any stipulant from the government. Okay, you shouldn't follow him in that. Okay, when he's in the mosque, as he's done many times, and somebody comes into the mosque and asks a question, which he considers bid'ah, he orders people to throw this person out of the mosque, right? Right, and he has these thugs in the mosque apparently would get the person and throw him out of the mosque. So somebody comes in, he's a scholar, he's sitting in the Prophet's mosque, he's the most famous scholar of his time, right? And this person comes in and asks him, Rahman al-Arsh istawa, what does that mean? Okay, and he does this thing where they say, he starts to sweat, and he's it's such a big thing. Asking this question is bid'ah, he says. Okay, and you are mubtadi', and he has him thrown out of the mosque. Okay, the people who threw him out of the mosque, they shouldn't have done that. Okay, people should have stood up and said, no, who are you to throw somebody out of the mosque? Okay, it's your dad's mosque. The funny thing about it is that in the mosque at that time were people whom their dad was their dad's mosque, right? He had the grandchildren of the Prophet there. None of them ever threw anybody out of the Prophet's mosque. Imam Malik did that on several occasions. He would order people to throw people out of the mosque. None of his he doesn't have the right to do that, right? To tell people to do that, and you shouldn't have followed in that. And other things like that, basically. We're talking about those sort of things, okay? Those sort of things. Now, okay, somebody might just, obey him, listen to him in that sort of thing without much thinking, right? But this is exactly why we're talking about shirk, right? That's why shirk is mentioned all over the Quran, okay? It's that sort of like attitude, you start with that sort of thing and you build bricks on top of that, right? You listen to him for doing that. Then next thing is, okay, mubtadi' has to be beaten. That's why of all of the four madhahib, from the four madhabs, the one which is the harshest on those whom we consider to be people of bid'ah or heretics or kuffar, right, or apostates, the madhab which is harshest is the Maliki madhab. The Maliki madhab was one who pushed hardest to have Ibn Taymiyyah executed. Okay, the Maliki madhab had so many people executed whom we consider to be innovators. Okay, and it comes down, if you look at it, comes down because look how Imam Malik himself was to people whom he considered to be mubtadi'ah, right? So that imprint of Imam Malik, this ibadah towards him, is all over the Maliki madhab. All over the Maliki madhab. Okay, you can say lakum dinakum walid-din, la ikraha fi din. You can say all of these verses in the Quran, but no. Okay, Imam Malik said this, that, and the other. set up the madhab like this, like this, like this. People came in later and tried to find his usul and how he got his judgments and make make the principles for his judgment, how he judged things, and then using those to make new judgments. Okay, this is all ibadah towards Imam Malik. It's all type of ibadah towards him. Okay, and it's only seen when it clashes with Allah. When it clashes with Allah, right? Then there's a choice. Who are you going to be in ibadah towards? Allah, the dhikr, okay? The dhikr in the Quran, or you're going to be in ibadah to the dhikr of Imam Malik, okay, of what he said. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, but in other things, when he said this or that, yeah, it's fine. A lot of things you don't have to. But this is the issue. You see, when it becomes a madhab and your deen is not the deen of Allah. Your deen is the deen of Imam Malik, of the Maliki madhab. Okay, of being, this is how I follow. Right, these are my usul. Right, I follow this how we do things. Okay. Okay, Malikis or Hanafis, you over there, you've got your own thing. Hanafis over there, you've got your own thing. Fine. We're all equal, blah, 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 blah. But I am a Maliki. I follow Imam Malik and his judgments. And if you want to sway me left or right, just bring a Sahih saying of Imam Malik and I will go left or I will go right. Okay? Whichever way he points, I go. That's ibadah. Okay, that kind of attitude is ibadah. Not learning from some. You can learn. I've learned a lot from Imam Malik. Right? You can learn a lot from these. But this is why I'm saying also, Imam Malik could be among those who on the Day of Judgment will say to those who are in ibadah towards him, Tadaburat. I mean, I did not take any except Allah as my wali. Okay, he made these blunders. Okay, but who doesn't, right? And that's the issue of shirk is like this. It's when somebody makes a mistake, and that mistake gets enshrined, okay, and that's it. It's followed. Okay, it's it can't be taken back. And well, as a person who's just made a mistake, it's just a mistake. Okay, he'll be judged on the Day of Judgment. His good deeds weighed against his bad, and that's it. Hopefully, his good are much more than his bad, and that mistake goes to the side. Okay, he's still saved. Okay, but shirk is now this mistake is an idol. It's something which is followed for centuries, millennia. We're 1,400 years, okay, or from Malik 1,200 years. We still have him with us. He's still an idol with us. Okay, what he said back then sways people now, and when as the verse we had here, and even if you bring them every ayah, they will not see it. Over their heart is a covering, and over their ears and in their ears is glue, is wax. Doesn't matter how many verses you show them. Okay, they've taken these as awliya. What do we have here? What do you think about verse 569? I know that many of us who follow these religions have taken man-made concepts. Can you explain this one? Let me look at it over here. Verse 569. الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والصابئين والنصارى من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Yeah, so it is. I mean, it's literally clear as it is, right? Truly, those who are, and this is in one of the last surahs to be revealed. So this is the same kind of verse is revealed in an earlier surah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, one of the first verses, the first surah revealed in Medina, and this is the last surah, the very last surah, the very last statement, which talks about other religions. Okay, what does it say? Truly those who have faith, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, which is basically means the Muslims here, وَالَّذِينَ هَادُوا, and the Jews, وَالصَّابِئِينَ, and the Sabians, which what are they, what are they called? The Sabians, or They say that the followers of John the Baptist. I've heard a very nice interpretation of that. It actually means apostates, the apostates from other religions, right? Those who sort of like the inner religion, they've grown up with it, they've seen the problems of it, and they've just said, you know what, I'm just going to go my own way, okay? Which is why that's what the prophet was called when he first became Muslim, right? When his followers, the people of Mecca, used to call his followers, they would say saba'a. When somebody left their religion and followed the prophet, they said saba'a, right? He's renegated. He's renegated. So this could be the renegades, or the renegades of all religions. It could mean that the renegades from other religions, those who went out. But it's still, of course, it qualifies all of this. When Nasara and the Christians, and it says man amana billah. Okay, whoever has faith in God and the last day and does good, فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Then upon them they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. Now it doesn't say أولئك أصحاب الجنة هم فيها خالدون. It doesn't say they are the people of Jannah to be there forever. Okay, it's not the same thing. And we need to remember that not every time the Quran praises a group, it means they are in Jannah. Not every time it blames, it means they are in hellfire. Okay, فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون is very general. Okay, but of course it is going to include salvation. So yeah, it means that all of these people will be saved. In the end, more directly, people enter Jannah and hell by their deeds alone, by their deeds. The Quran says that over and over again. We've mentioned it a lot in this channel, and I've written quite a few Reddit posts about it. But the Quran says all over, ادخلوا الجنة بما كنتم تعملون. Enter Jannah by what you used to do. Okay, or enter, or those who enter hell are told, إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. You are only being recompensated for what you did. Okay, it's all about actions, and we are in this life so that God can see أيكم أحسن عملا, which of you is best in deeds. Okay, it's all about actions. Okay, got nothing to do with beliefs or which religion you're part of or this or that and the other. Okay, everybody's going to be judged individually. God does not look at which club you are in to judge you. He looks at what you have done. Okay, what you have done, what's in your heart. إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم, except he who comes to God with a sound heart. Okay. Hope that's okay. Okay, guys, look, I'm going to end this now. Coming up to almost 2 hours. Quite a long stream, but this is the last one. I'm going to be talking about Shirk, at least for some time. I just wanted to have it go through these a little bit. All right, okay, yeah. I was just looking at one other comment. So end it there. Jazakallah khair, and see you in another 2 weeks. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.